A lot of us survived wave 1. I don't know how many of us will survive wave 2, to be honest with you.
Windsor-Essex is moving into the red zone on Monday. This as 2 hospitals report clusters of COVID-19 cases. And a University of Windsor fraternity shut down today, a day after a racist and hateful chat group is exposed. It's been such a gray week, but sunshine is coming. Nick Sternkovich will bring us the full forecast later in the show. I'm Katerina Georgieva. Chris is off tonight. Let's start with breaking news. Police have arrested a suspect in a hit-and-run incident that took the life of a 7-year-old boy earlier this month. Kuzi James was struck and killed near his home in the area of Jefferson Boulevard and Hague Avenue on November 15th. Police had said previously that they located and seized a vehicle in front of a home in the 2700 block of Chandler Road, a 2006 Dodge Caravan. Police say they located and arrested the man they believe was operating that vehicle. They say a number of criminal charges are expected and more information will be released in the coming days. Windsor-Essex will be moving into the province's red control level as of Monday, which means another week of adjustments for people and businesses, more closures and restrictions for the region. Stacey Janzer is in studio tonight. Stacey, what does this change mean for the area?
Well, Kat, restaurants and bars will have to adapt to new rules, which only allow them to have 10 people indoors, down from 50 this week. And that means some tough choices for owners who have already been through so much during this pandemic. They'll have to decide whether to just stick to takeout and delivery or still let in a handful of people.
Well, that's going to be very difficult for us. Like, obviously, you know, running with 10 people in a restaurant our size that normally seats 200 people, the math doesn't add up. And that's part of the things we kind of struggle with, is why the bigger restaurants are not, you know, allowed a certain capacity rather than 10 people. That's 2 tables for a restaurant. That's massive. Guidelines, I don't understand, because a lot of us, you know, that are having the bigger restaurants here are really going to feel the pinch. That's almost 70% of our business is going to be gone. And with December being the strongest month for this industry, you know, we're actually forecasting now to lose almost 60% of our sales just because of going to Code Red during this season.
Other businesses are dealing with changes too. Caesars Windsor will be temporarily closed Monday. The casino reopened last month, but for select members only. It wouldn't comment on how many staff could be affected, but in October, 115 staff members were called back to work. Some of the other restrictions coming as of Monday: live performances are banned. Social gatherings allow for 5 inside, 25 outside. Gyms can only have 10 people inside with equipment, 25 outside. Malls can stay open, but only 10 people are allowed to sit in a food court at one time. Movie theaters and performing arts facilities are closed.
Stacey, on Monday we moved into orange and now we're going into red. How quickly have our numbers been rising?
Well, things progressed very quickly. For a few months we were doing okay, but early on in the month, numbers really started to increase. November 7th, Windsor-Essex was in green. We had an average of 13.6 cases a week. That's 185 active cases. By the next week, double-digit daily cases and a move into yellow protect level. Our 10-day new case average, 28.4. Active cases rose to 230. November 23rd, Monday, the region entered orange restrict level. That day, 310 active cases, and today, with the 51 new cases, our active totals at 354. The health unit broke down where the cases are being found. In the last 30 days, Windsor had close to 62% of the cases, Leamington 16%. But in the last 7, the majority of cases are coming from Windsor, about 3/4 of them. And when we move into red on Monday, one of 2 things will happen. Either Windsor-Essex numbers will get better, officials hoping we can start to flatten that curve again and we can go back down a level, or we'll continue to increase and end up in lockdown. Kat?
Thanks, Stacey. The CBC's Stacey Janzer reporting live. A cluster of cases at both Windsor Regional Hospital and Hotel du Grace Healthcare has officials on alert. The health unit is investigating and working with the two locations to determine the source of transmission. Officials at Hotel du say there they have less than 20 confirmed and/or under investigation cases of COVID-19 within one unit. At Windsor Regional's Olette campus, the cluster is on a 7th floor inpatient unit, which houses 60 patients. There, they've confirmed one patient tested positive, plus 3 or 4 staff members. Windsor Regional's chief of staff says the patient at the center of the cluster moved back and forth between Windsor Regional and Hotel du. Testing is underway at both sites.
It's very concerning. We take it very seriously because we know what's going on in other hospitals and other organizations in the province. Given the fact that all less than 5 in total of these cases were on one unit, we're taking precautions in terms of, restricting movement on that unit, both patients and staff, preventing visitors from coming into that unit, and doing point prevalence testing where we're going to test everybody, patients and staff, to see what we're dealing with, whether there are more cases or if those are the only 4 that are isolated. And of course, doing contact tracing to see if we can connect the dots. Are these cases being transmitted amongst themselves within the hospital, or did they acquire them separately and they just happen to be on the unit together?
SAD says that if it turns out transmission did happen person to person within the hospital, it will be the first time that's happened at Windsor Regional since the pandemic began. If that's the case, it would lead to an outbreak being declared. He said the hospital would then need to take even stricter measures to contain it. The international headquarters of Delta Chi has announced it is shutting down operations of the fraternity's Windsor chapter. It comes after a series of racist texts and images were shared on social media, and it's prompted an investigation by Windsor Police. With more, I'm joined live now by the CBC's Sanjay Maru. Sanjay, what is Delta Chi International saying?
Well, Katarina, the international organization is saying that it has launched an investigation into the evidence shared on social media. It has demanded that the Windsor chapter of Delta Chi cease all operations, and it has suspended all of its undergraduate student members. Now, many of the people named in the group chat that was shared widely on social media are higher ups with the organization. Many of them have been let go. And today, the executive director for Delta Chi International speaking out, he says in a statement, "I am appalled and disgusted at what was presented to the university and our international headquarters. That anyone, let alone members of Delta Chi, would say or believe in what these students, many now alumni, have expressed is deeply disturbing. This speech and these actions have absolutely no place anywhere, especially chapters of the Delta Chi fraternity." And the international organization saying today it will seek permanent expulsion of any students involved in this matter, and a hearing will be held soon in the coming days to determine if the Delta Chi Windsor chapter will effectively be shut down permanently.
Now, Sanjay, we understand that the group texts that we talked about, that's not the only piece of evidence that's been making the rounds on social media. So what else have you seen today?
Well, Katarina, we've seen a picture which appears to show a fraternity member holding a gun in reference to hunting down black people. There's also been a video that's been shared on social media of a fraternity member putting a noose around their neck. We were able to determine that the individual was a fraternity member. I did reach out to that individual, but he did not respond. Now, as we've mentioned, these videos, these images being shared widely on social media, and they've been seen by a University of Windsor professor. And he says, while he's not necessarily shocked of the behavior seen in these images for what he calls something that just is perpetuated within frat culture, he is shocked today to see that all these images and this behavior has come to light.
The racism involved in some of these things also present in a lot of the hazings, the ways in which these societies conduct themselves. And it's not just a boys will be boys thing. I'm sorry, that just doesn't wash as an excuse. It's a part, I believe, it's a part of the culture of fraternities. And to have it come to the public eye, it's only because of the work of young Black and racialized students who are starting to catch these things on film. They're starting to take snaps, and that's why it's coming to light now.
And an important note, Katerina, that you mentioned off the top, Windsor Police confirming today that they are indeed actively investigating this matter. And just last hour, we heard from officials with the University of Windsor. They had previously said they would be launching their own investigation. And as part of that today, they announced that they have tasked themselves with a team of legal experts who specialize in anti-Black racial discrimination. Katerina.
Thanks, Sanjay. The CBC's Sanjay Maru reporting live for us tonight. Across the province, Ontario has once again set a record for new daily COVID-19 infections. The province is reporting 1,855 new cases today. Meanwhile, provincial labs processed 58,000 tests over the last 24 hours, also a record. And 20 more people have died with the virus, bringing the death toll from COVID-19 in the province to almost 3,600. As we've been reporting recently, there are a number of vaccines close to being rolled out to protect against the virus. Tonight, we're hearing from the retired military general who's been put in charge of the distribution. Lorenda Redekop has more.
The Premier met with the person leading Ontario's vaccine plan, retired General Rick Hillier, who says he's bringing over some of his former military colleagues to help with planning.
Our mandate is clear. We're going to be ready for 31 December.
Their role will be distributing the vaccines and figuring out where people will get their shots. It'll be a much bigger job than the annual flu campaign.
A massive logistical undertaking, the likes of which this province has never seen.
The federal government's role is in procuring the vaccines. The premiers spoke with the Prime Minister last night.
I told the Prime Minister that we need answers, and we expect answers. Because we can't have Canadians watching as our allies start getting vaccines without having a clear answer on when we will be getting it. And my friends, the clock is ticking. We can't be last in line.
When a vaccine is ready, Canada will be ready.
The Prime Minister had no more details on when vaccinations could start, but did say this about the timeline.
The doctors highlighted that if all goes according to plan, we should be able to have the majority of Canadians vaccinated by next September.
And today he announced another former military leader will head federal efforts. Major General Danny Fortin led NATO forces in Iraq. One challenge so far for vaccinations, the health minister acknowledged the two vaccines farthest along are not approved for children, though some others that are close are. Just one difficulty Hillier is already anticipating.
I'm glad that the Premier and the Minister have confidence in me, and I hope that they continue to have that confidence when we hit that first speed bump that the Premier described and people start screaming, because we will and they will.
Now the province is looking for answers on when the vaccines will arrive, the quantity, and which ones, so it can organize the logistics of getting shots into people's arms. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
With a vaccine against COVID-19 seemingly on the horizon, vaccine hesitancy has become an issue. One concern people have is the speed of development. But one doctor who is working with public health officials to identify and address Canadians' top vaccine concerns, he says the process is not moving too fast, just very efficiently.
What they're doing is what's called a rolling submission. So as data becomes available, both on safety and effectiveness, the companies are allowed to submit those data so that the Health Canada reviewers can already be starting the work to review them, which can take weeks at a time to review. They're already doing that. So when the vaccine is actually ready, the approvals will already be there. So it's that efficiency that we're doing.
The doctor adds that with any vaccine, development safety is the #1 priority, and all clinical trial data will be made available to the public. There are many unanswered questions around a police incident near Lindsay that resulted in the shooting death of a 1-year-old boy. The province's Special Investigations Unit, the SIU, is investigating. The baby was in the back seat of a pickup truck driven by his father. The SIU says Ontario Provincial Police tried to stop the truck on reports of an alleged abduction. The truck reportedly collided with a police cruiser, seriously injuring one officer. 3 officers shot at the driver, who is in serious condition in hospital. The SIU says the man's 1-year-old son died of a gunshot wound. It is now investigating. The injured officer was airlifted to hospital in Toronto. After years of pressure, Windsor Police Service is finally making naloxone available to some of its members. We told you last month that the service promised it would be equipping officers within 3 units with the drug, which can reverse an opioid overdose. Police say it was recently made available to the detention unit, and it's still expected to be deployed to the City Centre Patrol and problem-oriented policing units as well before the end of the year. Police say they'll be releasing the number of times naloxone is deployed every quarter. MP Brian Massey is calling on the federal government to act on 15 recommendations aimed at combating phone and internet scams.
There's no doubt that the benefits of the report we tabled actually deals with the private sector, technology, government departments and service agencies needing to be modernized so they can share information, and lastly, law enforcement to be empowered to deal with fraud in a more responsible and comprehensive way.
The recommendations were tabled in the House of Commons today. They were put forward by a standing committee on industry, science, and technology. Among the recommendations, the committee wants the federal government to increase its collaboration with foreign governments and international organizations to close overseas fraud call centers. The committee also wants legislation to allow police to gain confidential information from the CRTC and other agencies while protecting privacy rights. Windsor Police say there has been an increase in fraud calls during the pandemic.
We still run into problems with corporations and companies when we ask for information because they can not hide, but they obviously operate in the legal world with privacy. It's making it very difficult for us. And so I'd like to see if we can to break down that particular barrier.
Massey says between 2014 and 2019, scammers got $17 million out of innocent Canadians with the CRA scam alone. The scam involves convincing the victim to pay money because they think they owe the government in unpaid taxes. W.J. Langlois Catholic Elementary School was ordered to shut down a week ago after an outbreak was declared there. It's one of 2 school outbreaks in our region. The principal says there are 7 active cases within the school, 4 students and 3 staff members. The school quickly shifted to online learning, and everyone is currently in self-isolation for another week. I spoke with the principal for more on what it's all been like.
First and foremost, we wanted to make sure that our families felt safe and calm. The word outbreak is very alarming. I know we had a day to kind of deal with that word in our school. So myself and the vice principal, we went around to each classroom just to make sure that our students understood what outbreak meant. And with definition from the health unit, it takes 2 to declare an outbreak. So just going to the classes and actually talking with the students and listening to their questions and trying to relay a sense of calm in our students and in our staff, we wanted that to transfer into our community too, because we knew that there would be emotions and anxiety and just a fear of the unknown.
You talk about the conversations you had with students, but in terms of families and staff members who are nervous to come back in a week's time, and especially right now since schools are really high profile, we're seeing cases in multiple schools, and that's concerning for the community. So what reassurances can you give families that their kids are safe, and for staff members that they're safe going to work?
Yes, that fear is certainly real, Katarina, and I think we need to follow the advice of our health unit right now, and they are quite adamant about everybody doing their part and, maintaining their mask wearing and their social distancing. I can certainly understand the fear our parents are feeling. I'm a parent myself. Many of our teachers are parents. So that fearness, though, there's a healthy level of awareness that we can have from that we need to take with us every day, just to make sure that we're encouraging our students, we're doing everything we can. I really am confident in our staff. I would like parents to realize that we are doing everything we can, and we're going to keep their students as safe as we can. But the community has to do their part too.
And you're still currently self-isolating as well. So how are you dealing with all of that?
Well, I can't say it's awesome, Katarina. I'd rather be outside living a normal life, but I am happy to be doing my part. It's hard to not be the one responding to my community by just, for example, handing out the tech or being there when the students come to pick it up, and just being a support for my teachers, right? I'm doing everything by my computer, and by my phone. So just keeping in touch and wanting to calm everybody is very difficult when I myself is having to go through isolation too with my family.
You can read more about this story online. You can just go to cbc.ca/Windsor to read it. A gorgeous look at our city. It's been a rainy, cloudy week. Nick Cirkovich will be back right after the break with the weather, and hopefully he'll bring us some positive news. Stay with us. Nick Cirkovich joins us now for our full weather forecast. Nick, it's been really dreary all week, I feel. So what can we expect this weekend?
You know what? Just in time for the weekend, we've actually got sunshine this time.
Yay!
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. The last of the sort of rain showers that we're dealing with this week are going to move out tonight, and then we're back into the sun for Saturday and Sunday. So pretty good looking weekend in the forecast. 6 degrees right now in the Windsor area, pretty similar temperatures elsewhere. There's the rain showers that I was talking about. That's more or less it. This is going to push eastward, so Windsor will clear out sooner than areas east toward London, but by tomorrow, everybody's going to be in the sunshine, certainly by the afternoon. Fair bit of cloud cover still lingering around, but again, that's going to push out. What we are watching, though, is this, and this is a much bigger story for us as we head into Monday and Tuesday. So not affecting our weekend weather, but this storm system is going to bring with it a significant amount of rain and snow depending on where you are. Now, it pushes northward, and this takes us to Monday morning. Bear in mind, we're still too early to really pin down the timing or the exact amounts of what we're going to see, but use this as sort of a general idea of what we're expecting. So likely starting out as either some wet flurries or rain showers on Monday, and then as we move toward the afternoon, rain looks like it'll probably switch over to some wet snowfall down around the Windsor area in Monday evening through Tuesday. And then as the storm system kind of stalls out, we've got lake effect snow developing, and areas in the traditional snow belt region could very well see 20 to 30 centimeters of snow with this. For Windsor, not nearly that much, but I do think we're going to see a few centimeters of snow accumulating as we head through Monday night into Tuesday. There's a look at your forecast for tonight. Temperatures at -1 tomorrow, though, up to about +6 degrees. That's a little bit above the seasonal mark. And there's a look at your long-range forecast. So nice looking weekend, 6-7 degrees, lots in the way of sunshine. Mixed bag on Monday. Right now looking at about 2 to 5 centimeters for the Windsor area, more in the snow belt, and then some light snow flurries on Tuesday as we get into December 1st.
So the moral of the story is just soak up the sun while we can.
Exactly.
Thanks for this, Nick.
You bet.
When we come back, we will tell you about an art project that's part of the Gordy Howe Bridge construction project. The goal, to acknowledge the history of the region. Stay with us. An art project of towering proportions at the Gordy Howe International Bridge site. Take a look at this. The artwork is by 3 Indigenous women, Daisy White, Naomi Peters, and Teresa Altman. The work was commissioned by the Bridge Project to acknowledge the history of the region. It'll be displayed 220 meters above the ground on pillars on both the U.S. and Canadian sides. The artists created the murals over a 2-month time period. The biggest is 50 meters by 12 meters. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Have a great night.